Okay, good evening and welcome to Petaluma Community Access Board of Directors meeting for Tuesday, October 15, 2013. Would the secretary who is not here call the roll? Tom, will you do that tonight, John?
Okay, Duke.
Thank you.
Okay, Cindy Thomas.
Here.
There's no vice chair. Matt Pearson. Here. Jason Davies, absent. Neil Fishman, absent. Rachel Moran.
Present.
George Utrila, absent. Marcia Trent.
Here.
Tim Williamson.
Here.
And I am here.
Okay, we have a quorum, and before we go to public comment, I want to see if anyone wants to volunteer to take minutes tonight, since our secretary is out.
Send them down.
Really?
Do you have an agenda?
No, I don't have anything.
I'll get you an agenda.
Terrific.
Am I supposed to have a little form you need to fill
I
in?
didn't have time to get that.
Oh, God, what have I got myself into?
Can you just scroll them on the, on that agenda and?
Yeah, some extra.
Can you manage, Tim? Okay, thank you, Tim. Tim Williamson is going to be our temp secretary tonight. Okay, so if we can go to public comment now. Is there any public comment tonight?
Well, I think we have a,
Do you
I
want me to?
guess.
Okay, we can kind of combine public comment and board of directors comments and announcements.
Right. I think,
I thought that our
oh,
board
okay,
director
that would
wanted
be,
to
oh, well, that's
introduce.
much more
Oh,
elegant.
sure, okay. This is Kathy Rivas, and she has made an application to be on the board, and I think she'd make a terrific addition to the board.
Pass her application, and let's see, there's 5 on page here.
I've known her, we worked together in the past, and I've known her for a long time, and she's a resident of Petaluma, and she has very good managerial and administrative skills, and has some experience with fundraising, and so.
Great. And this was the, this is not on the agenda tonight, this is just to bring to your attention that our applicant, who was announced in an email from John Bertucci, is here. And do you want to say anything, Kathy?
Well, I met with John the other day and we kind of had a conversation. I personally have had no experience in broadcasting or filming or any of that. However, I find it very interesting. I think it would be a great new adventure for me to try something new. I've done a lot of volunteering in other areas through Hospice of Petaluma, the Petaluma Visitor Center, 4-H, Kaiser, and I enjoy being part of an organization that is looking towards the future of where we're going.
Great.
So I don't know if you have any particular questions for me, but that's
Yeah,
pretty
that'd
much.
probably be more appropriate after everybody's had a
Okay.
chance to read this, and we'll agendize it for the next meeting for consideration, and that's when
Great.
an appointment would be made.
So that we do the hazing in November.
Thank you.
Yeah, when weather's a little colder, it
Yeah.
hurts a little bit.
Yeah. I love the way you think.
Yeah.
I'll be prepared.
And Kathy was at our open house, which we'll hear about in a little bit, and hope you had a good time, but.
I had a wonderful time. It was great to see, John explained to me that you originally were in that one little tiny space, and I just can't imagine anything functioning in that little space, but obviously you did, and you have more than twice what you had before.
Yeah.
And the new area, again, was very exciting to me, because I, again, know nothing about how all that works. but I would be very interested in finding that out. So thank you for letting me
Good.
come and be here tonight.
Okay, it's good to meet you. Any other public comment tonight? Seeing none, we'll go to directors' comments and announcements. Does anyone have anything more? Thank you, Marcia, by the way, for your
Oh, you're
introduction of Kathy.
welcome.
No
I have a
announcements?
comment, but I won't write it down. I want to say that I attended the open house and I thought it was really nice to see how PCA has grown and become a nice, big business-like, but still friendly operation. I was very impressed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
It was great.
And we were all kind of elated the next day. I mean, it was like a buzz that we just, our staff meeting, we said, let's have a party every month. There was a nice vibe. We had a massage therapist and that was very popular. And it just felt like the coolest place in town to be.
Are you gonna report out more on it in your executive?
I wasn't planning on it. I mean, I
Okay.
forgot it actually.
Okay, well, how many attendees were there?
Oh,
Do you know?
we would roughly said 70, 75,
Nice.
Good turnout.
maybe more if you
That's
count
for
those
that.
that came and went. But at one point, to fill up both sides. I didn't get to talk to everybody. It was fun, bouncing around.
I had a good time.
And the food was great. Amy brought in some real
And the
special.
food was all gone at the end.
I didn't eat all the pizza. I tried.
Too. Thank you, Amy's Kitchen.
Jason moved me away from it.
Okay, is that it? All right, you have your agenda with you, I'm assuming, and had a chance to look at it. Are there any modifications that we need to make? I would like to take 10B off tonight and table it for the November meeting. And that would be the discussion and possible action on appointment of board officers. Seeing Matt and I are the only executive committee members here, and I'd like to at least have Jason here. That's entirely up to you though. If everybody knows how they'd like to see the structure of the executive committee, that's fine, we can go forward.
It would make sense to make sure that everyone's here. Or we could just assign it to the people, new jobs, if they weren't at the meeting.
Well, Neil has already voiced interest in taking Eric's seat.
As vice president,
As
right.
vice president.
Well, I think it'd be nice if everybody was here too.
We can work.
You need a motion or?
Yeah, maybe Cindy doesn't wanna,
Oh, we didn't do that.
see,
I know.
nobody asks Cindy anything.
Cindy suffers by the will of the board.
I know. So, yeah,
Take-
table it? Does that sound good? Yeah, okay, then we'll take that one off. Anything else? Okay, is there a motion to approve this agenda?
I'll motion to approve.
In a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. The minutes of the September 17 meeting also came in the email with the agenda. Hopefully you've all had a chance to look at that, and now's the time to make any corrections to that if need be. John, we didn't get any email from Jason or Neil saying
No.
any comments on this, okay?
Not in this section.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move.
Okay, second? I'll second it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. That carries. Next item is the treasurer's report. Matt, please.
Been a busy month for the treasury here. John just handed me our taxes for the year, so I'll try and review those, get those out. If anyone has any interest in also reviewing those before they get signed and distributed, please let me know, or mailed in. Also, just reviewed the draft of the annual financial review. So if any, and I have a couple questions on that. We'll get back to Torkel said with a couple. Oh, I have a question for clarification on there. And anyone else would like to see that, please let me know. Then we'll bring it to the board for approval later on at the next meeting, I believe. I think it's the plan, correct?
No, actually, it was for approval this meeting.
I didn't see it on here, did I?
10A.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
There's more in the back.
You're right. I got it. I think the second page.
Well, it's
So-
on the agenda, so we can discuss.
It is there,
what
right.
needs to be.
There was a question regarding the profit and loss and balance sheet for this month from one of our board members, because it's the first time in a significant period that we have spent negative from a projected budget. For the month, but I believe that there were some, John had explained there were some significant bills this month. I know that I signed a couple of the checks for our insurance and for some items that we purchased to finish at the studio. So that will be balanced out over the average of the next several months. But they were budgeted costs, they just weren't things that, we had a bunch of expenses that hit in September. We ended the month with $109,000, 566, and everything seems to be on plan. Anybody have any questions?
I'll just clarify that the two major costs that took us over for this month were annual costs. We paid for the tax return and the audit, half of it, and we paid $4,800 for insurance, and that's a one-time only cost, so it'll average out. Significant time. This is the first time ever, if I can remember, that we did in the negative on the profit and loss.
Down the road, I need to bring it up to the financial committee, but one of our targets is to look at reviewing our insurance policies, just to see if they're meeting our current needs. Nothing has been adjusted in the last several years, but.
On which
one of the items
policies?
all of our insurance policies.
Oh,
That's a good point. If you're gonna bring up the insurance, we should address the expansion to include the studio. There's a significant investment in there. We may have to up our limits.
I do annual reports on what we have.
Do you?
So there are modifications, but it would be good to review it from top to bottom.
Beyond that, that's what's I've been up to for John this month.
okay. Thank you. Any questions for Matt? Okay. Our next item on the agenda is the executive director's report. Please, John.
Okay, well, first off, I'd like to introduce you all to Amy. If you haven't met her, I'm the leader at the party. Amy started with us in October, taking the outreach coordinator position. Has done a marvelous job, kind of got thrown right into a partying process, and
That's a rough start.
yeah.
Trial by fire.
And it was an interesting process. We had two very strong candidates, and Jason and Zach and I wrestled with it for the weekend. And it really pushed us into thinking out the values of our operation and understanding the idiosyncrasies. And I think we made the right choice. I have no question. But part of it, is Amy lives in Petaluma. She's got the skills. Her training is in filmmaking, media. She's got a great personality, so, fits with the existing climate in the office, and everybody's happy.
And she's got great family. They were all at the open house. How brave of them.
I know. Then they had they got massages and they got to see themselves on camera, so they were thrilled. They loved it.
Amy and I went over to see Marie and Jenny at the Downtown Association, start going to those meetings. And I was saying, oh, you got to meet John Crowley down at the office. And Amy said, oh, I go to the office all the time. So she went to the office in a PCA t-shirt. And John went up to her and says, oh, that's the great place. So John met her first. So the next item is the Palooza report. We had a great time at the Palooza. That's a Aqua's community event. And we had a nice stall, and Mario was full of enthusiasm and a lot of color, and it was nonstop. There was always somebody at our table talking with us. Our studio build out is moving forward. It was operational for the party. The next step is really to prepare a user's manual, set up a protocol for training, and we had questions at staff meeting. Do we, if somebody wanted to bring a camera in and just use the background, would that be okay? And we said no. We really want to train people on how to use the switcher. We've got it installed. You can do a show in there with a minimum of 2 people, which is quite remarkable. But there is a learning curve to the switcher, and we want to train people. You all saw how good it looks. I mean, it has a very professional look. The curtain, you don't even see the wrinkles in the curtain. You have this kind of empty space behind people. So we're all very happy with that, and it's just a trim little gem, for Petaluma. It's perfect scale for our operation. The low-powered FM license, we have 2 challenges right now. The deadline is the end of the month, but the FCC website is down. It's shut down.
Oh, that's right.
So we really don't know if the window's still going to be open, what the story is. The whole country's on, the suspense is palpable. And then the other thing is we're still wrestling with the location. We have constraints on the signal. Basically, we have a transmitter that if it's close to somebody's house, it might disturb a signal coming in from San Francisco. So there's 300 yards, I think, is the distance. And the 2 locations we found, one is a city tower out on Corona, and the other is JC. And Matt's helped us work with, what's his name? Tony.
He's the Dean of Facilities Management for the district.
So we're setting up a meeting with him, and there's a woman who's got back to Zach yesterday, is working on setting up that meeting. So we're moving forward as if the window's going to open up. Once we get the location set, then Zach goes back to the hired consultant. They work out the specs for the application, prepares the application, and we submit it. And then if the FCC grants us the license, we have 18 months to operate. So that's very generous.
Is there any challenges with the Corona location yet?
There's no challenges, but it's not the best location. It's far, with the
Right.
transmitter, we've got a circle, and if we move it all the way over to that end, we could lose Neil's house.
In my house?
Yeah, so the best bet is the JC, and that would be great because it opens up a lot of partnership opportunities, eventual curriculum for radio. I think that's the exciting direction. So our fingers are crossed on that. We've got a tricky little problem with the Comcast signal, is that we're not able to get our stations in our office anymore. So,
Comcast? As of October 1st, they changed the network. And so I lost a bunch of channels at my campus too, because you now have to have a converter for everything is 100% digital and scrambled. So even if you have a digital tuner, which they converted about a year ago, everything to 100% digital, you still could get all the base subscription packages, just in channels, on a digital off-the-air tuner. You can no longer do that. To create more space or whatever else, you can't just have a line dropped at your house and plug in and use the tuner. You have to actually have a box for every channel.
For every screen.
Every screen, yeah.
And we were running 4 screens there and 24, all day.
Does one of them still work, Bill?
We have one, comes with our basic business
Why
subscription.
can't you get more boxes, or what's the?
Because there's a $10 charge on each one per month.
Mine is
Well, we
like
need the
6.
TVs.
Yeah, no, that's where we're gonna go, but we're trying to work.
Oh, okay.
I sent an email to the political representative for Sonoma County, but no response.
Scott Adams?
Scott Adams, no response.
Let me know if you don't get an answer in a week,
Okay, I'll take this up.
and I would like to hear more details.
Yeah, I'll take that offline. But it was noticeable at the party. Cindy said, why are our channels on? Because it was, it's great to have all 3 in
Yeah.
the lobby. And I had it on all the time in my office. You bounce around and check. Keep track of the bulletin board and what's on and what should be taken off. We have an October class, a Saturday class on the 26th. Sign-ups are still open if people are interested in taking a Final Cut
What's the
editing
topic?
class. It's Final Cut Pro. We tried to do 2 Saturdays, we didn't get sign-ups for the first, so we canceled that. And we were gonna try the 101 and then the intermediate, but we're now just gonna do another 101. We did get a sign-up yesterday, so it's on. And we have an October screening on Wednesday the 23rd, that's next Wednesday. These are the PBS documentaries, and we're going to be showing In the Light of Reverence, which is about Native American sacred sites, and the conflict with other uses like mountain climbers, hang gliders, skiers.
Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Amy is now reaching out to Indigenous Studies class teachers at JC and Sonoma State. So we're trying to aim our marketing or our promotion that way. We have a maximum of 15 seats, and we give preference or priority to members. The first screening was like 20 people, so we had them all sitting on the floor. The last screening was 1 or 2, so we need to, shake that up. And one of the ideas we had this week was we looked at the list to try to pick out movies for the future, and it started to come up that the staff had particular tastes, and that maybe this could be staff picks, so that if I picked a movie I really liked, I would be there to present it and tell you why I liked it and have some fun watching it with you. Next item, we joined the Chamber of Commerce, and we renewed our membership with the Downtown Association. It was interesting with the Downtown Association, we did an exchange. They became members in our organization, and we became members in their organization. And that's a real strong partnership. One of the first things on the agenda was the issue of the downtown making it through Christmas. So that's a high priority. One of the things Marie was saying is she's really working hard to get the road work to stop for a month so people will go downtown. And with our bulletin board and with our partnerships, that we should be able to help. The Chamber of Commerce, we joined up. They have benefits. They have monthly mixers, and one of the things they do is they do free ribbon cutting events. So I thought we might try to arrange a ribbon cutting for the studio as soon as the handbook is ready. And
By the
then-
way, I've already started receiving personal invites to chamber events.
There you go.
Mhm.
I designated Cindy as our point person, but you're all invited to go to these events, and I suppose we could add-
Exactly.
yeah. We might even host one. And then the business sponsorships, Amy and I will be looking through that. We did custom sponsorships for 2 of our donated food sources for the party. We found an equation that gave them 1 month and about 215 on-air thank yous. And that'll be nice to get some new pictures up. Got to redo the one for Summit State. They renewed their sponsorship. And
They also moved.
they moved, that's why we got to redo it. Gotta get new
Yeah.
pictures and new address on the screen. They've been steady for 2 years. And Marcia sent out 10 letters to 10 local
She
businesses.
did. Thank you very much, Marcia.
Yeah, that's
You're
exciting.
welcome. But you haven't heard from any of them yet.
Not yet, not yet. You know, it takes a little while to get the water moving.
Copperfield's Vicky did say she would be in touch with you, so,
Oh, yeah, I know Vicki.
yeah, she told me.
So that's my report for the month of October.
Well, for the business sponsorships, are we doing it just any letters or what?
We have a
other
model
efforts
letter
are we
that I
making?
drafted, and then Marcia did a rewrite of it. It should be personalized. It's basically a letter saying, oh, I'm on the board, and we have this program for supporting PCA. It's, it's kind of, I actually did it with Ray Johnson. We had a very nice presentation to Summit State Bank, and it really is half marketing and half donation. It's a
Mhm.
tax write-off, which, most people could ask for and probably get. But we also have the benefit of being able to thank them on the air, which is a low-key commercial in a sense. We thank Summit State Bank for supporting our ability to serve the community. You should thank them too.
Have you thought of a
Yes,
more
yeah.
direct approach and a personalized approach in meeting with people directly in terms of,
Anything helps. I think what the idea was
think I'd
that
like
if
to do that.
you as an ambassador would go to a business that you knew and talk it up, I could then come in and do the fine print and the details.
okay, yeah, I think that might be a good idea, because I
Yeah.
think, you want to get it more of a community rather than just a letter. I think we really need to reach out and really be a part of the community, and part of it is personalizing it and really getting to know them and working with them.
Somebody in Clover, Stornet, or something like that, then,
Okay, maybe Marcia will talk, the committee.
yeah.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, John. We have no items on the consent calendar. And as far as committee reports, I know of no meetings that took place. John, do you know?
And not that I was involved in.
Okay. We'll have to get that back on track next one. Okay, then we're ready to move into old business, and item 10A, discussion of possible action on the 2012-13 financial review and annual report. John?
Well, I tried to get the financial review last meeting. It came in about a week after, so I sent it all to you immediately. You have a copy. I caught an error that I had corrected, page 10. They had the dreaded photocopy machine. We took care of that. This also, it's due to the city in November, so we're in good shape for that. It also goes with the annual report that we've already approved. So the question is now, can we approve the financial review? And I met, do you have some questions you want to bring up? I know in the past, what's happened is the board has approved it pending your conversation.
Subject to.
So maybe that's the way to go. But I need to know what your questions
Well,
are.
my biggest question I usually get from Torkelson, which I haven't seen yet, is an annual financial adjustment. So usually we go back to adjust all the depreciation and
I think this is.
items. Okay, so, because one of the things that we do is, we have all of our categories of things that we buy and then with time depreciate. Some of the items on the financial statement are no longer relevant, and so usually I have a discussion with Torkelson to talk about, do we eliminate some of the things that we keep dragging around in the financial statements for sometimes years, like automotive expenses or depreciation. And so this is the first that I've seen that, so this will inspire a couple, but at least look at it and thoughts. And then I usually we'll double check and make sure that everything is being handled appropriately. If there's any suggestions on best practices that we should be improving, and we'll communicate those back to Brooke and John if we need to change any business processes.
Yeah, there was only one concern that he had was that we, when we buy online, and we bought a lot online for the studio, we don't always pay the tax. So we, what's the word, reconcile that after the fact with a large payment to the tax board. But that sometimes that falls in the next fiscal year, so it does kind of, there's a discrepancy in the accounting. And these are actually issues that really apply to Brooke and where she puts the expenses
And it happened this year. It happened for the last fiscal year because we paid for the use tax outside of after the deadline for the fiscal year. And she attributed it to the way the check fell, it was
remember
the
that.
wrong year.
Tisk, tisk.
Okay,
So, well, what are you asking then, Matt?
No, I still would like to look at this and have that conversation about practices with Torkelson, and that's usually what I do to wrap up this year.
when in November is this due?
Pardon?
What day in November is
There's no
it due?
date well, it's in the bylaws, I could check.
Right.
Or it's in the agreement, but it,
Well, I know you wanna move forward with this, John, but I think Matt wants to hold off till next month.
Has Neil weighed in?
Not that I'm aware of.
no. Well, I should say that, that Torkelson is still on the books because they can't close this until we say we accept it. And then they close it, they sign it, it's done. If we wait till November, they're gonna have to look at the books between now and November, between when they gave it to us, to see if anything has happened between now and then. Because once they sign off, they're signing off for all the time before.
Do they charge for that?
It depends how much is involved in it.
If there's a significant new, hourly cost, yes. Does anyone know when Neil's coming back to the country? Or town?
I thought Neil's in the country, he was just out of town today.
That could have been, didn't get
That's what his
clear.
email,
Okay.
Is there an objection to doing what you said, and going ahead and approving it pending your conversation with Torkelson?
Well, I'll be happy to see if I can set some time up with Neil to go down with me maybe the next week or so. This week I can't do, but next week, maybe see if we can meet with them and wrap this up.
In a certain sense, you could be going down there to tell them, we approve this, it's done. And the only reason we'd have to bring it back to the board is if something came up in your discussion that needed work. If you're just getting the details straight and understanding what communicates to adds up. And they're in direct contact with adds up, they can communicate to adds up. So,
okay, so what I'm hearing is that you're saying if we could go ahead and move to approve this pending nothing comes up in the conversation that Neil and Matt have with Torkelson. Is that what your suggestion is?
we've done that in the past.
Right, I know we
So
have.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so that's one option, and the other option is the one that you said that we wait until November.
Well, yeah, actually, I was talking about approving it and pending.
Oh, okay, this
Yeah,
number
but-
one option.
But I don't know if,
Yeah,
Matt
yeah,
wants
but Matt
to-
has, that has to be,
wait.
Matt, you have to be comfortable with that.
Well, I guess if I'm not comfortable, I always could elect to put it back on the November agenda, and we're still not in a threat of the deadline of the city. But if anyone has any thoughts or concerns, please let me know so I can bring them forward. Because, you know, there's questions, I just need to make sure that we, you know, handle the adjustments correctly.
Is that something that we all should be looking at?
You can, this sounds like it's an original, so I will pass it along. It's typically, this is all the adjustments for bookkeeping for the year.
Okay.
So typically, there's a story behind each one of those line items, so.
I know,
that's
I'm
why-
just looking at the dollar amount. If it wasn't a significant dollar amount, then I
There's a few that are.
would be comfortable, but I don't know, do you consider that significant?
Each one of those lines has a story behind them, so I don't know the story.
Right. Yeah,
So, we'd have to find out and I can report back. Or email back, or whatever anyone would like us to do, like we did.
right, because I'm not in the treasury position, but I think that's a significant dollar amount.
Well, some of these just could be just
At
adjusting.
the total, at the bottom,
Correct.
yes.
And some of these are just adjustments for depreciation as we're allowed to depreciate items over their ownership 7-year lifespan. So majority of that may be just equipment that we purchased,
Right,
and every year is just a depreciation on that.
okay,
So, you can see some of it is booking vacation liability, depreciation on furniture, depreciation on equipment that we bought, that we circulate for checkout to users. A $23,000 item for equipment depreciation. So, that's, the equipment depreciation is expected. It's just the other items for prepaid expenses. And access, I mean, sorry, there's a couple small things on office furniture, office supplies, it's just moving things from one category to another category.
okay. So do we want to move to approve this draft pending the discussion with Torkelson, which will be conducted by Matt and Neil?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, and I'll second it. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
Before you guys leave, take a look at this, ask me if you have any questions, please. This is the
Do we
first
get a
time I've
copy of
seen
that
it.
emailed, or?
No, this is the first time I've seen this,
Oh, okay.
so I'll pass it down, but.
Do you wanna look at it right now real
Yeah,
quick?
just-
And then we can just pass it around like that if you want.
Nothing, I don't think out of the ordinary, but
Right,
I double checked.
right.
Yeah, it's called adjusted journal entries.
My understanding is that we got a clean bill on the financial review.
Or
And
do
that
you
was all done proper. This is bookkeeping, how to do it better the next time, where they came across issues that they would like to see us fix. So it's something for adds up to do.
Some of that also is driven by the taxes. And so as they do the depreciation on the equipment, the depreciation every year, that the tax number, which is in here, gets reflected on what she carries as assets on the books.
Okay.
It looks like it's just a matter of reclassification.
Yeah. I looked at it as a formality. It didn't come in the email version, it came in a hard copy with the letter.
Which usually it does.
Okay. We're good. Okay, we took 10B off and tabled that for November. That was the appointment of officers. Item 10C under old business is discussion and possible action on plans for a 2013 board retreat. And that's my item, and I don't have my notes from the last meeting that I wrote.
Well, I can refresh your memory.
Yes,
My
Because
job
I-
was to try to get a fundraising specialist to give workshop, and I wrote a nice letter, and I got no response, so now I gotta go back to the drawing board. But that's basically it, and the way I presented it was, we used to have our annual retreat in December or January. The last two have been at a board member's home, and this time we wanted to have a workshop on board fundraising skills and motivations. I attended a training last month, and the fellow who spoke was really sharp. It was enjoyable. He knew how to handle the material and keep it interesting. And I don't know why he hasn't responded.
What agency was that from?
Shoot, I didn't bring those notes. It was the volunteer center that hosted the session that I went to.
Okay.
He's from a San Francisco, I think it's People Now, can't think that one. But there are others, but it
Yeah,
might help me. One little problem I had in writing the letter was, do we have any windows that are good for us? 'Cause it's that same game of finding the calendar when it fits. If we picked 2 or 3 weekends that were good for us, then I could say, are you free on these weekends? That would be the next step for me. Or you might decide you don't wanna do that, I do Pictionary again, and we'll go to Neil's house.
What have we done in the past? What kind of,
You remember, we went to dinner at Neil's house and
oh, yeah, that's right, that
we
was
played
last
the PCA
yeah,
Pictionary.
remember the wallet?
They've been mostly strategic planning,
Okay.
trying to get a sense of what were the values we wanted to orient our future to. And team building. Getting together off the clock without a camera. So that was basically it was on the agenda last month.
Right. Now, I'm remembering a lot of it, and I think I had brought up Nonprofit Easy as one of the possibilities for,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll follow up on that.
And I don't even know if they do that. I know that they have software that helps the nonprofit in their abilities to track memberships and create distribution lists and mailing lists and sort them and all kinds of. Do we still use Facile?
Yes.
Is it, did it ever become user friendly for us?
It's always a challenge. And we talk about it each year about changing it. But we'd have to take everything apart and build it up again from the bottom. This has got all the members, and it was designed, it's a database that was designed for public access.
Yeah.
And the designer is on call to help us with it.
Yeah, well, I'm a firm believer that if you keep doing things the same old way, you're gonna get the same old results. So, I'd like to see us maybe switch gears.
Okay.
Create a new database, then that's what you would have to do to,
Yeah, I mean, this is a database that when they enter, when their membership expires, it keeps all the old ones that have expired. There are ways to integrate, if they've had trainings, if they're accredited on this camera, that camera. There's a lot of capacities to it, but it isn't user-friendly.
Yeah, well, that's
But
not for
that's-
this meeting.
That's a different
Yeah,
topic.
that's a different meeting, yeah. Anyway, I'd like to see some kind of development take place in some form at the retreat, I love the Pictionary and the talk and everything, it's very rich. I don't know, what's everybody else thinking? Tim, you wouldn't know, you've never gone.
That's right.
Big one.
Well, the next one's at your house, so you can come and,
You could survive my dog.
Sure.
I hear it's decorated.
Yep. And lit.
I'll have to do a drive-by after the meeting. Okay, well, we're getting into those months where it's gonna be really hard to identify a weekends where we're
Till
available.
January, yeah, for the holidays.
I mean, maybe we should just say right now, January, and
Yeah, okay. I think
January.
that's clarity, that
Yeah,
helps.
just- Mid or end January.
You don't have to have one either. I mean, it's just a tool to, build
Right.
skills and.
I think it's a good idea.
I think
I've
so,
never been
too.
to a retreat that didn't amount to something, even if it was a
Do you
little.
wanna do, we've done them Saturdays. The last two have been evenings instead of a board meeting.
It'd nice to have a speaker or something that maybe worked with nonprofits that could help us with some, brainstorming ideas. It'd be kind of fun for strategic planning, maybe some fundraising ideas. It would be, if we can find somebody that could, work with us.
Yeah, well, we've sort
There's
of,
gotta be somebody in Sonoma County.
oh yeah, there are. And
Maybe they can come and speak to us or
maybe
something.
a new board member with fundraising experience could help us, point us in the right direction.
Yeah, there was a class that I was thinking of taking that was offered by either the Extension JC or Sonoma State. I'm gonna look into that, because it involved fundraising for nonprofits, and I thought it looked really interesting. But
As far as strategic planning goes, we've pretty much set our course with the expansion. Now we've gotta make that work, and that's a focus point. No big decisions on what we should do, and we gotta make what we've already decided to do work. So there is that element of the fundraising.
yeah, I'm referring to like maybe fundraising ideas or sponsorship, business and community involvement, that kind of stuff.
And that's part of what we're doing with business sponsorship, is mobilizing the board as components of a campaign to raise money. And I actually think the board has a stronger position. I mean, if I go to somebody and I say, can you give me money so I can get a raise? I'm compromising
Right.
the offer, but if you're
It's
saying,
just
this is a great organization, I'm really proud to be part of it,
Correct.
you should help too, because it really helps Petaluma. That's cleaner, and then I can come in and cinch the deal.
Fundraising is the board's responsibility.
So, okay, we're clear that that should be the target, and we need to
Oh,
beef
it's-
up that
Right.
It's very clear to
that
me.
muscle.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
also, you brought up the strategic plan, which is what I was going to say when you were done speaking, is that I don't know that we've reviewed that in a couple of years, have we? We didn't review it at the last retreat. We did it the one before.
Okay.
I mean, we have to hold ourselves accountable. That's our measuring stick for doing it, one of them.
That's a good point.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, because one of the items was build a membership, and we've jumped 50 new members from where we were when we made that clause. Get a studio, we got the studio. Start doing more
Yeah, but we need to,
outreach.
yeah, we need to review what's left on our plate and create more goals, because it doesn't end with just what we decided a couple of years ago. You know, the climate changes and we need to be setting new goals and then making sure we do them, so. And I don't think we've ever really bumped fundraising high enough on that list.
Yeah, no, I think that's
That's
lagging. Something that struck me recently is that, we have very brisk meetings. We used to meet 3 hours. Leave here exhausted, and I had to negotiate overtime. We've been leaving an hour early for the last 5 or 6 or 7 meetings, which I think is a good sign, because we've got this system down and it's kind of rolling by itself, and all you have to do is come in and really vet the decisions. I think committees could be more active.
Yeah,
It's a good way to brainstorm and think up those ideas.
In fact,
yeah, I think that's,
yeah, and I think if everyone were to read we just talked about it, the annual report. I don't know why I couldn't say it. If we read the annual report of the past 5 years, we could really see that, what we've done, why we had those 3-hour meetings in the beginning and why we aren't anymore. We had a lot we had a lot of fixing to do and that we inherited.
It's kind of neat though that you've reached the stage where you're not doing so much fixing and now you're moving forward, so that's
It's
kind
like a
of
diet, we're in maintenance now.
That's exciting. It's new wardrobe time.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's put this back on the agenda next month and hope that we have a better attendance and we can,
Thank you.
Should we also ask John to shift his attention to the January timeframe, as Rachel
yeah, I
suggested?
think that's why at the November meeting, if we do a
December.
calendar drill for January, we can maybe,
Maybe we could all come with some dates of when we're available.
It may even be
Yes.
February, but we're talking the
Or February,
beginning of
yeah.
the year.
We'll
Yes.
just look at our dates, so then everybody can maybe give a couple weekends or,
But can you help me with the framework? Is it a weekend day or is it a meeting?
I'd actually prefer a weekend day.
yeah,
It's gonna be a
Weekdays are hard.
day-long thing, right?
I think we got more done when we did them on Saturdays. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not opposed. I think we went to the Tuesday night in lieu of a board meeting because we just couldn't get a Saturday that worked for everyone. And when we got, our board got a little bit bigger, the calendar drill becomes a little bit more difficult, so. And Eric
So
was out of town.
Something like 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock with a 1 hour break?
Yeah.
It's two-hour sessions and we have somebody come talk to us at the first half, the first part,
Right.
and we talk amongst ourselves the second and vice
brainstorm in
versa.
the second half.
We could still do our potluck and then
Yeah.
have a cocktail hour at the end like we do.
I like that. Yeah, I think the weekend gives us more time rather than everybody's tired on a weekday and we don't have a whole lot of time, 2 to 3 hours.
10 to 3 with an after party.
That's a long day.
I don't have a pool anymore.
Uh,
No swimming in January.
Yeah,
Twelve to
January, one.
Okay,
Oh, that's good, thank God, that's.
Wear wetsuits, I guess.
Well, that was the staff party.
yeah, that was a staff party. Okay. So we're gonna move into new business, which we don't have any, so unless there's something else to be said, I think we're gonna adjourn before 8 o'clock tonight.
This goes with that.
Is that it? All right, motion to close the meeting. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night.